for this week. Mostly engine improvements, cleanup, and documentation. So let's jump right in. I've got the GodCam controller up and running. And as you can see, I've gotten the Shift Control Alt set up. So the GodCam controller does its job effectively, only using the arrow keys and then QE to zoom out. I also started working on the command factory. Couldn't quite get it working because since we're using so many different classes, I'm getting a little bit confused on how to deal with those. At the moment, I'm trying to do it all in a single factory, and the issue there is I can't hold a single collection of recycled inactive commands because they keep their subtype. I haven't got a chance to test it tonight, but I changed this so that they come back as default commands, which I'm not sure will fix the issue or not. I don't know if this casting thing that I'm doing is, first of all, effective, second of all, efficient, but it's much easier than having this this factory deal with about 10 or 12 other factories. That doesn't seem efficient from a typing point of view, so I'm trying to avoid that if I can. We'll see. The other thing I've done, let's take a look at this old to-do. Oh yeah, my alarm deregister used to need to pass in an enum for the deregister. So I had all these alarm registers that were separated out by which alarm you wanted to register, but my alarm deregister wasn't like that, but it is now, so that's smoothed out and consistent between the register and deregister. What else have I done? Command factories, talked about that. Command subparents are done. Collision stuff is done. I think that's about it, other than obviously, as you can see, the documentation here. I'll show you that after I get on to showing you what the game looks like now. So we've got an actual game happening. We've got the GodCam obviously here, but the game I've created is that you shoot these target boxes that show up. Every time you do, the player, which is for the moment a textured frigate textured here. Every time you hit one of those, you increment the score of the player. Once I get sprites implemented, I'll put a stitch up on the UI every time you hit one, so it'll be more obvious that you've hit one. It hasn't just disappeared on its own. The other thing this week is some documentation. Obviously, the Doxygen that we discussed in class, combined with the other, what's the other thing? The graph. For right now, all I've got together is the documentation for things that the player is going to touch. So things like scene manager, scene, game object, the various game object subclasses. The other stuff like the commands are just default implementation because I left document all checked. So I can show you some of that here. So updatable, the user touches update register, deregister, and the update. So it's got some stuff happening here. I think scene is probably a more interesting one. Yeah. So it's got some more complicated. Yeah. the update here lists the order of the updates. I forget which, was it collidable maybe? That I added some temporary code. Regardless, the documentation is pretty simple for now. Hopefully, as I get some time in the coming weeks, I can figure out a way to clean this up a little bit. It's a pretty messy system at the moment. I want to be able to, minimize it down to just what the user can touch, and let, like, I think the groups is the option I want to use, using groups in Doxygen to separate out, the most basic, here's what the engine can do, versus documenting the internal systems that the user doesn't really need to know about. I think that's about it for this week.